Hola, hola, familia, and welcome back to Tech and Tequila. This is the show where we talk about tech without all the tech jargon. We cover cybersecurity without the fear tactics, and we make sure that we cover business over a great conversation. I'm your host, Kat Lopez Shelby. If you don't know me and this is your first time here, I'm your Techie Chica, an entrepreneur, a trusted tech advisor, and someone who genuinely believes technology should help your business grow and not keep you up at night, and definitely not keep you leaving the office going, I need to have an adult beverage because this tech can be teching too much. So before we get into today's episode, I want to take just a second and, of course, say thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you guys for sharing the show. I want to thank you very much for the amazing DMs that I have gotten, the comments, and, of course, some of the reviews, because Tech and Tequila is all about community, right? And I want everyone to feel welcome. And I want everybody to know that this is a place that you can come. I try to keep it what I like to call bite-sized, almost like a little tapas, so to speak, so that we cover quality content. We talk to entrepreneurs. We help you with your mindset. And of course, we do it all with generally some amazing tequila. Okay. So today, let's talk about what has been on my mind lately, right? And I know you're sure like, what? Been on your mind? Isn't it more important what's been on my mind as a business owner? Of course. But for those who don't know, I own a business, right? I'm a founder. I'm an entrepreneur. And guess what? If you have spent any time on LinkedIn lately, you have probably noticed these letters everywhere. AI, right? AI is writing content. AI is building images. AI is helping businesses automate processes. And of course, AI is helping customer service teams, marketing teams, sales teams. And according to some headlines, AI is either the savior for your business or it's going to destroy your business. So no pressure, right? We don't need to figure this out today. But you know what? Another thing that came out recently was the Verizon's annual data breach investigation report, also known as the DBIR. And what stood out to me wasn't the AI conversation necessarily. It was something much simpler. And that is the fact that the businesses getting breached today usually aren't getting breached because they don't have enough AI or they don't have enough tech or they're missing these things. They're getting breached because we got to take it back to basics, people. It's weak passwords, missing updates, poor access controls, and the almighty human error. That's right. What's between the floor, the laptop, the floor, the desktop, the floor, the mobile device, or the floor and the phone in some cases. And of course, third-party risk. And those things, let me tell you, those are the fundamentals. And that's why I wanted to talk about the report today. I know in a recent episode, I talked about what the Pope had said, which I think is very important. We go back to the episode, listen to it. But today I wanted to talk about this because while everyone is chasing the next big thing, cyber criminals are still finding success with some very viejo tricks, right? So today we're going to break down what the report tells us, how AI is changing the landscape, what, of course, your maybe small, mid-sized business can do or maybe needs to focus on right now, and how to think about AI in a way that actually supports business growth. Because let me tell you one thing, I believe the future doesn't belong to the businesses that have the most tech, the most tools, the most AI. It belongs to the businesses that build a strong foundation and then use AI to accelerate what they're doing and what they're already doing well. Now, before we dive in, let's take a quick word from one of our amazing sponsors. Now, in case you didn't know, Tech and Tequila Live is brought to you by Net2Phone. And if you're running a business in 2025, your phone system should be working as hard as you are. And Net2Phone can be that business communication platform for you. So we're talking crystal clear calls, video conferencing, messaging, and of course, AI-powered features, all in one place without complexity or a crazy price tag. And here's what I love. They actually understand a small and mid-sized business's needs and space. There's no huge enterprise fluff, no crazy confusing contracts, just powerful communication tools that help your team stay connected and your customers feel very taken care of. Make sure that you visit net2phone.com to learn more. And of course, tell them Tech and Tequila sent you. So, alrighty, let's talk. Why does this report matter? Why does Verizon make the effort to do this every single year, right? This report's been around for a while. It's not young anymore. It's fully grown. So every year Verizon publishes this report. And for those who aren't cybersecurity techie people like me, this report isn't based on predictions or speculations or what some analysis in a room by himself thinks or herself. It's based on real incidents. So that's real breaches, real attacks, and they look at thousands of them from organizations of every size across every industry. The DBIR is one of the most respected reports in cybersecurity because it gives everyone actual insights into what attackers are doing, not what we think they might do. And every year when the report comes out, I read through it with one lens. What does this mean for my clients? What are things that I need to look out for? Because let's be honest, most of the business listening to podcasts or listening to this podcast right here are not these huge, massive enterprise Fortune 500 companies, right? With massive IT departments and huge dedicated security teams. They're businesses that want to serve their customers, grow revenue, hire amazing people, and of course, navigate technology at the same time. So let me share what stood out on this year's report. And let's talk about what that actually means for you, right? So here are a few things that stand out, or maybe things that we need to think about. Maybe that's a better way to say it. Number one, guess what? Credential abuse remains the top attack vector. What is that? Stolen usernames and passwords, particularly from phishing, social engineering, and still have a vast majority of breaches begin. Not crazy sophisticated exploits, not nation state hacking. These are stolen credentials. Number two, ransomware continues to grow. Ransomware was present in a significant portion of breaches, and the financial impact per incident continues to go higher and higher up that mountain to climb. For a small and mid-sized customer, a ransomware attack isn't just an inconvenience, it can be an existential crisis. And number three, third-party risk is accelerating. Have you ever heard the term shadow IT, shadow AI? Just think shadow. But a growing percentage of breaches now involve a vendor, a supplier, a technology partner, not just a direct attack on a target organization, which means that cybersecurity or your cybersecurity is only as strong as the weakest link in your vendor chain. And of course, number four, and that is the humanity of it all still remains one of the most exploited factors. So we'll go back to social engineering, phishing, pretexting. Attackers continue to target people, not just technology, because people are often easier to manipulate than systems, right? So let's talk about who is in the crosshairs, right? And, if we didn't talk about AI, would it be 2026, right? Because we cannot talk about technology without talking about AI. And I love AI. I use AI every single day. My team uses AI. My clients use AI. I'm about to have an event in West Texas in which we're sponsoring. It's not my event, it's somebody else's event, but we are sponsoring AI. And AI can save you time. It can increase productivity, improve customer experience, help businesses scale, right? I mean, it can help you draft content, analyze data, build automations, workflows, and give leverage, right? That otherwise teams may not have. And for a lot of my clients, we are actively helping businesses implement AI in practical, safe, and actually connected to their goal ways. But here is what we've seen. Many businesses are asking, or business owners or decision makers are asking the wrong question first. They're saying, what AI tool should I buy? Instead of, what are my business processes? What are things we're repetitively doing? And of course, are we really AI ready? Because here's the truth about this tech. And this is something I say, I feel like every day, every conversation. Maybe it's just me because I'm in tech. Technology is going to amplify whatever already exists. So if your processes are strong, your SOPs are strong, AI is going to make them stronger. If your processes are broken, AI is going to help you do the wrong thing faster, right? And that is the distinction. Okay. So I know we keep talking about AI, and you know what? I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, right? So let's dig a little deeper in, right? I think there's a misconception that these attacks kind of look like something that you would imagine to be in some movie you've seen somewhere, or maybe some hackers, or a hacker in a dark room, or a bunch of code, very sophisticated. And while, don't get it wrong, those things exist. Most attacks are far less glamorous. They're practical, they're opportunistic, and they're predictable, right? So what this report shows, what the DBIR shows right now, is that attackers continue to rely on compromised credentials, right? So, I mean, you cannot turn on a news station. We can't go probably, I would say 4 weeks without hearing about another company that's been hacked and information that's been released. And if you're part of any of these, by the way, you do get free, I was going to say, any company that's publicly traded and they have a breach of that magnitude, they're going to have to offer to their customer base free credit monitoring, free identity monitoring, things like that to you. So keep an eye out for that, right? But let's talk about this, right? They're not changing the way that they're attacking. They've been using the same thing for years. The difference is that with the advent of AI is making and helping attackers become faster and more efficient. So instead of sending out, let's say, 10 phishing emails, they can send out thousands, and they're much more convincing than they used to be, right? They are much more personalized. They're much more, it's harder to spot those little bitty flaws, right? And instead of spending hours researching a target, they're going to automate all of that, right? So instead of writing malware from scratch, they're going to generate and modify malicious code faster. So AI is not making new vulnerabilities. It is helping the bad actors scale old tactics. And that is important because it means the solution obviously is not to panic. The solution is preparation. All right, we're going to take a quick break for our sponsor, but we'll be right back here in a minute. All right. So, in case you didn't know, this episode, as well as Tech Plus Tequila Live, is brought to you by Granite. Granite is the leading provider of telecommunications and connectivity solutions for businesses across the country. We're talking internet, voice, network management, the backbone infrastructure that keeps your business running. And here's what sets Granite apart. They are relentlessly focused on making enterprise-grade connectivity accessible to businesses of every size. What does that mean? Fast, reliable, secure connectivity isn't a luxury anymore. In 2025, it is the foundation. And if you're building a technology stack, if you're adding AI, dare I say, cloud tools, or maybe automation, you need to know your network can handle it. Granite makes sure it can. So obviously, visit granite.com to learn more about what they can do for your business. Now, I know I say this over and again, and I please don't take a drink, don't take a shot, don't take anything if you hear this, because one of the favorite things that I hear from a lot of clients is, I'm so tiny, nobody's ever going to notice me. Like, that's not going to happen to me. I'm itty bitty. They're going to go after those big people, those multi-billion-dollar companies with their massive, IT teams. Well, the answer is no, nope. I'll hold your hand when I say it too. No. Cyber criminals don't only target large organizations, and in many cases, they actually prefer smaller ones. Do you know why? Because smaller businesses have smaller budgets, limited security resources. I mean, how many hats are you wearing, right? How many of these hats are we wearing, right? Few internal controls, and sometimes a less formal process. Cyber criminals are not looking for the biggest target. They are looking for the easiest target, right? And here's the thing about these attacks, right? We talked about this. A lot of them are automated. Attackers use automation tools to scan the internet looking for vulnerable systems. It doesn't matter if you're a 10-person accounting firm or a 200-person manufacturing company. If your system has a vulnerability, you can be found, right? You can be found. And, I really want to talk about that for a moment, because if you are a small business, let's say you have 15 employees and you get hit by a ransomware attack, right? We always call this, what would you do? What is the 0-day scenario? What would you do if this happened? Everything is locked. Files are locked. Client records are lost. Accounting systems are locked. Gone. When we start looking at what happened, almost all the time, there's an entry point, right? An employee received a phishing email. It looked like it was from a vendor they work with. They clicked it. They entered the credentials. It wasn't. These are not sophisticated attacks. These are, and I say that, here's my caveat to that. They're going to be more sophisticated than what you would have seen 5-6 years ago, because the emails were a lot easier to see, right? But not impossible, okay? And so the same thing goes now. If you see something that randomly says like, hey, check this out, or look at this, and you're like, I don't remember asking for a remittance, or I don't remember doing this, don't remit it. Like, look, check, go to the top, click, see what it comes from, do your due diligence. At the end of the day, if let's say it is somebody you need to pay or somebody, what's the harm in calling them? It takes like what, maybe 5 minutes, maybe longer if it's a particular company. We won't name names, but I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? And so what I want to tell you is things that can prevent these, right? The cost is very minimal, right? So set up multi-factor authentication, have a password manager. Dude, please please, and I'll hold your hand, you can hold my hand, we can have a drink, we can talk about this, but do some basic security awareness training. Because if you don't have that in place, right, it's not because you don't care. We know that. It's not even because it's not a priority. It's just you're running around wearing hats and trying, and I say trying, and you're running a business, but you're, keeping the eye on prize number one. And that is obviously to increase your revenue, to expand your business, to scale. But what you need to make sure that you're doing at the same time, training your employees. And I promise we could not have a drinking game with this, right? Is your first line of defense is what is between the floor and the laptop. Okay? Because what is between the floor and the laptop, your employee is often, that is your strongest thing right there. So I know we covered a couple of basics, and this is generally when we would have a tequila tasting. And so, you know what? Today is going to be a bit of a tasting episode. I very transparently have been a little under the weather. So I decided to grab the Mingle again, which is a non-alcoholic functional sparkling social beverage, right? So we're going to heart them. We're going to talk about them again. If you're watching the video, I have to take my glasses off because I can't see up close because, we got the vision going on. But I have the Serene Citrus Spritz today. It has lion's mane to help with having a clear-minded presence, ashwagandha, which helps you to center your energy, and of course, L-thiamine that helps you with feel-good vibes. Now, this is what they say, right? So this is where fun meets functional. No alcohol needed, crafted to spark the feel-good vibes, and of course, support the social connection. And they're meant to help you unwind of your day. It's a little early for me to unwind, but it's the start to the day. I have a training call that I'm going to be on for like 7 hours this afternoon. I'm looking forward to it. But I want to talk about something very important. Because normally when we take our sips, we take them and I give you things to think about, right? So here's what I want you to think about. As you're drinking, let's say you're trying these adaptogens for the first time, right? I want you to think about this when it comes to cybersecurity and AI. I want you to think about what is your business going to do between now and the next 5 years? What type of strong foundation do you want to have? What strong foundation in your tech stack do you want to have? And I want you to remember, this is something that is close and deep to my heart, right? Is yes, when tech evolves, be an early adopter. Look for the best solution, but also be cautious in the essence of you want something that you can utilize, you can implement, and you want to figure out what is my return on investment? Is it time? Is it money? Is it customer service? And what am I improving? Like, what am I achieving? So always think about your business's, like the business goal is why you're looking for this. And I know this is probably going to feel like an oversimplification, but if you are in a retail space and your internet is going down and you can't take credit card payments once every 6 months, I want you to think about the customer that comes in, can't make a credit card payment, and then how many clients are possible customers they're going to tell, and what kind of experience that is for them, right? So think about those things. Obviously think about your business, think about where you want to be in 5 years, think about what you can automate. And I always say, start with one repetitive task. So that's a little to think about, but let's get deeper. Let's talk practicality. Let's talk about how this report, let's get practical. One thing I have learned over the years being in the industry, and I like to say that I've been around since dinosaurs roamed the earth, or since your phone was the actual size of a physical telephone, is that most business owners are not ignoring cybersecurity. They are not ignoring updating or patching their systems. They are overwhelmed, right? They're managing employees. They're serving customers. Their goal is to grow their revenue. They're putting out fires. We talked about those multiple hats you're wearing. And cybersecurity becomes one more thing on a very long list. And that's why I encourage you to simplify. So focus on the next right thing, not everything. So here are 3 things that I would put if I was saying, here is the Techie Chica playbook. We've looked at the DBIR, right? We've looked at the Verizon report, and I want you to think of these as the priorities. Number 1, lock the front door. If you could improve anything overnight, right? Make sure you enable multi-factor authentication on your email, your banking, your cloud applications, on everything. Use a password manager so your team isn't reusing the same passwords across 12 platforms. Remove shared accounts. Each person should have their own login. And review access regularly. When someone leaves your company, their account should be disabled the same day. Your identity is now the perimeter. It's how you get in, it's how attackers get in, and protecting it is a single, very impactful thing that most businesses can do right now. And I want to tell you a story. So we're talking about SMBs, right? I was working with an SMB once, and they had it was a nonprofit. They had a very large following on social media, and all of a sudden they couldn't get into their social media accounts. Something had happened. Well, come to find out, the executive director of their organization was using the exact same password for everything, for his email, for his Facebook account, for everything. And so all they had to have was one thing. They didn't have any multi-factor authentication set up, which you can set up on almost everything now. And so that's why I say focus on locking the front door, right? The second thing is, I want you to make sure that if you have a system, a computer, a laptop, a firewall, whatever it may be, a phone, I want you to update. Know that when a new software update comes out, that you are getting it done, right? And I always say this because 9 times out of 10, when a company discovers that there's a glaring vulnerability, they're going to patch that, right? You're going to get other patches that are for, whatever it may be. I don't know. Better voice quality, better pictures, faster upload, whatever it may be, right? But these are the things that attackers love, because they're like, oh, they haven't patched that firewall since 2009. Well, look, we've got all these updates. And off the top of my head, I cannot remember the exact firewall, but I promise you there was like a red alarm fire going off in my email one day about the fact that they had discovered a huge vulnerability that people were taking advantage and going in, right? So the moment that a software company or any patch, right, is announced, the clock is ticking because attackers know about it. They start scanning systems for it. They look at it. So before you buy another tool, I want you to ask yourself, are our devices updated? Are our firewalls current? Are our backups actually working? Are we running systems that are still supported by the manufacturer? Sometimes the most effective investment for your cybersecurity isn't buying something new, it's maintaining the one you have. And I want to use 2 examples of some of my clients, right? I won't tell you what their names are. The names, what is that? The names and the faces have been changed or whatever to protect these people, right? But here's the deal. So I had a customer that we had come in to upgrade their internet. And as I'm talking to them, I go through the consultative process. I'm asking them. And one of the questions I always ask is like, oh, do you have a firewall? And they're like, yes. And I said, okay, well, when's the last time you patched it? And the client looks at me and is like, well, the firewall kind of came with the building. And I said, okay, but that didn't answer when is the last time you patched it? And lo and behold, they've been in this building for like 4 or 5 years. The answer was never, ever. They had never, ever patched it. So needless to say, item number one on my list of like things that I sent to that client was, you need to patch this. Like, this needs to be done because yes, we can get you better internet. Yes, we can upgrade all this, but you need to get this taken care of. The second thing is I'm going to tell you a real life scenario that I have with a client. And this is why I preach to my customers, always, 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 in essence, run a 0-day scenario. Like, check your backups, make sure they are backing up effectively. Check, if this happened, do people know who to call, right? And the reason I say this is I have a client that unfortunately was hacked, did receive ransomware, and they're like, oh, no worries, we've got our backups. Well, lo and behold, they did not have their backups because nobody had been checking the backups. And they came to discover that their backups had not backed up in a manner that can be completely duplicated and brought back online for over 1.5 years, which in this case was way too long for them to go and fix, okay, which led to a whole nother set of problems. So I want you to think about, do I have this backed up? Do I know that it's backing up? Have I checked the backups? What have I looked at? Okay. All right. And I want this to be the third thing that right? And this is priority tactic thing that you are looking at right now. And this is one of the things that it really talked about in this report, right? That it backs up, which I want you to think about. Think about all the vendors and platforms that are connected to your business. Your payroll provider, your CRM, your cloud application, your marketing platform, your accounting software, your IT provider. Every single one of those is a potential entry point. I want you to think about that, right? So your cybersecurity is going to be tied to theirs. So what are they doing? So ask questions, review your vendor agreements, understand their security practices. Ask, what happens to your data if they get breached, right? Third-party risk management used to be something only large enterprises worried about, but that's no longer the case, right? I mean, our world has changed dramatically. Everyone knows about Zoom. Everybody knows about all these different things. So I want you to think about that. All right. Now let's talk about some positive news, right? And let's talk about the positive of AI. Because AI isn't just helping attackers scale their operations, it's helping defenders too. Maybe that's an act of mutual self-destruction, but you know what? Hey, this is amazing, right? It's helping us. So small businesses now have access to cybersecurity capabilities that used to require enterprise-level budgets. Threat detection that runs 24 hours, 7 days a week, automated monitoring, behavior analysis that identifies unusual activity before it becomes a breach. AI is helping to level the playing field. And cybersecurity, of course, isn't the only place AI is creating opportunities for businesses, right? So let's give some real examples, right? So we have clients, of course, using AI to respond to customer inquiries automatically and doing it well. Not robotically. There's good automations and there's bad automations. So what you want to think about is, how can AI help my customer get the information they need faster, right? And I want you to think about, what can I utilize AI for? And what's going to make it better, right? So some of our clients are using AI to draft their first versions of proposals, help them with, drafting first versions of SOPs, internal documentation, which frees up a lot of time in the long run, because now they're putting We also have clients that are using AI to analyze their sales data, identify patterns that they might have been missing in the past because they didn't have time to really dig into the numbers. We have clients that are using AI to monitor their networks, flag suspicious activity. Boy, the suspicious word is giving me issues today. And of course, automate the kind of security tasks that used to require a full-time person or, a full-time contracted person. And here's the common thread, right? The AI is amplifying something that one is already working. It's not replacing good proper judgment. It's not papering over a broken process. This is something that is solid, and it's making things run faster, smarter, and more scalable. So that is the things that AI can do. That is the thing that AI can help about, right? And so I want to paint this picture for you. When you think of successful businesses, right, over now within the next 5 years, I want you to think about people that, one, yes, they're early adopters. They're jumping 10 toes in, right? And there's no better day than today to start. There's no better day than today to start looking at your cybersecurity practices. There's no better day than today to start looking at ways that AI can help you. So remember, when you are thinking about successful AI, think about combining people, processes, technology, and automation. This is not just tech. It's not just AI. It's working as a team together. So I want you to imagine where AI helps you draft your marketing content and your team reviews it and they personalize it before it goes out. Where automations handle repetitive administrative tasks so your team can focus on clients. There's a really good case study I highly recommend everybody look at that talks about IKEA's use of AI. Like really, really good, solid, where follow-up happens automatically. So opportunities are not slipping through the cracks. So I want you to think about your customers' journey with you, right? And what it takes and how to follow up, right? Where security tools are monitoring your environment in the background so you get alerted before a small issue becomes a major breach. And obviously, where employees are spending less time on manual work and more time doing what humans do best, thinking creatively, building relationships, solving complex problems. That's the future that I am helping my clients build towards. It's not about replacing people. It is about empowering people, right? And these are the conversations that we're having. Not how do we use AI because everyone else is, but how do we use AI and automation to solve real business problems and real people? And I know that if you have listened to this before, if you listen to the episode with Michaela, she talked about, I use automation. So when I'm out, doing my hard 30, hard 75 walk, or I'm at my Pilates class, yes, if someone goes into my DMs, there's an automation, but I also have the capability of making sure those automations have a personal touch. Like maybe it's a voice message, things like that. And she talked particularly about using ManyChat and Kajabi, but yes, these are the things that we're talking about. All right, so before we have our final section of today's show, we have one last, I'm going to say it's one last hey, I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about this, we're having a great time, but this is all about community, business building, and real conversations. So I want to give one last pitch, of course, for Tech and Tequila Live. Now, obviously, we have one coming up on June 25th, right? That's going to be in Austin, Texas. And we're going to have some more events that we're going to be at. More than likely, all of them are going to be more in the August timeframe. Yes, they are all in Texas. But hey, if you want me to come to your city, DM me. We'll figure something out. So, of course, this is going to be a live version of what the podcast is. We're going to talk about real technology, real businesses. We're going to talk about AI agents with net to phone. We're going to talk about, dual SIM technology with granite telecommunications. And we're just going to take questions, right? It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have great community. So if you're in the Austin area and for any reason you think, man, this sounds like it, maybe the reason is, I'd love to learn about more of the tech. I'm interested in AI. I don't want to get left behind. I want to feel comfortable because, your Techie Chica is all about, let's not kill you with technical jargon. Let's talk about real solutions for real businesses, right? I'm going to get my last thing. Spots are limited. We are not going to have an overflow situation. When it's full, it's full. So grab your seat right now. DM me today and I can send you the registration link. All righty. So we are on the final sip. I'm still sipping on my Mingle today. So I should have said at the beginning of this podcast that this was a tech and tasting, a special little, episode. But we have covered what the DBIR said, why it is important for small and medium-sized businesses to understand that, yes, you guys are still a target, right? It's not just enterprise, Cybersecurity criminals, bad actors, they're like, I love a good business. Let me just have a business. Let's, your business, any business, let's have a business, right? I told you, let's lock the front door. Let's patch what you already own. Let's know who has your data. Heck, where is your data, right? And of course, what great AI adoption looks like, right? So before we have our final sip, you know what? I want you to grab, if you're listening to this and you have tequila, grab your tequila, grab your cafecito in the morning. Your girl loves a cafecito con leche. Or grab your adaptogen drink. Maybe it's a Mingle, maybe it's a Ken, right? Because in this process, you don't want to rush. Today is a great day to start, though. Today is a great day to start. And you know what? Cybersecurity, AI, building a business, all of those things take time. Takes time to adjust. You want to start today. Every year, you're going to have a new technology. We're going to have something new. And I would say right now, with consistency, every year, Verizon is going to have a new DBIR report for us to look at, right? So let's talk about businesses that are going to thrive, right? They're ones that are consistently working towards a goal, like fixing their SOPs, looking at a solution. They are securing all their information. They are patching their system. And most importantly, what's between the floor and the laptop, they're training their employees on things to look at. And when they use AI and automation, they are scaling what they're already doing well. So whether we're talking about tequila, an adaptogen drink, cybersecurity, AI, success comes down to mastering the fundamentals first. Then and only then should you start accelerating. Well, we have hit the 45-minute mark. I promised this was not going to be a short one, but definitely a worthwhile one. I am your host, Kat Lopez Shelby. I want to thank you so much for being part of today's conversation. From the bottom of my heart, if this episode added value, I always ask, please share it with someone in your network. Leave us a review. I love a good review. Send me a DM. It generally helps people find the show. And if you're ready to talk about technology, cybersecurity, and AI, what it could look like for your business, reach out. ShelbyTS.com, Shelby Technology Solutions. We have a direct booking link on there. DM me at Shelby Tech Solutions. And of course, don't forget, until next time, stay cyber safe, stay curious, and of course, raise a glass or an adaptogen in my case today. Salud familia.